Hey guys, LevelCap here. Today I've got an episode of Loadout, the series where you guys get to pick my gun and customization for each episode. The way you do this is you leave a comment down below letting me know what kind of weapon and accessories you'd like me to run with, and I will pick one of the top rated comments for the next episode. Today's top comment comes from St. Matthias. He says, Flanking Master, ACWR with Suppressor and Cobra Sight, Expo for more silent kills, M1911 S-TAC, Run with Suppression. The ACWR is a great gun suppressed, and the suppression bonus makes it hell for the enemy. The Expo adds the silent killing power, and the 1911 is good for close quarters. This loadout works especially well on urban maps like Sen Crossing, Grand Bazaar, and Donia Fortress. And as you can see, I've started out using it here on Operation Metro because there are some good flanking potentials in this map as long as you're not spotted on the minimap. As soon as you get spotted on that minimap, your flank is completely given away, and since there's only like 3 or 4 different rats you can go on most of the areas once you're inside, it is really important to conceal your whereabouts with suppressors or silent weapons. I will say playing squad-based gameplay sort of on my own with a suppressed weapon becomes a little bit difficult sometimes because people like to join my squad and play with me, which is totally fine, except they're generally using unsuppressed weapons and following me around. So all of a sudden my stealth abilities become kind of useless because I got like a guy firing a machine gun over my shoulder that's unsuppressed, so the entire map is looking my direction anyway. But I try and make the best use of it by pushing up quickly, gaining ground fast, not hanging out in one area for too long, although that's what I'm doing here. But you got to take out your enemies before you can push up. Now unfortunately on this map here they managed to push us back into our spawn. It's Conquest on Metro. As you guys know, this game can get really bad if they start spawn camping you. But I'm working the left side really hard here, as you can see, getting ready to push up, and in fact this push here manages to break us out of our spawn camp, and we get back and manage to take B point as well as our gimme point and give the other team at least a good competitive round instead of just spawn camping non-stop. Now, what was St. Matthias talking about when he said that the ACW-R gets a suppression bonus? Well, the gun doesn't actually get a suppression bonus. In fact, it does get some pretty big nerfs when you put a suppressor on there, like its bullet velocity gets taken way down to 300 meters per second instead of the stock 500 meters per second, making it hard to hit distant targets. But one interesting thing about the ACW-R, because it breaks the mold of the other carbines out there, is that it does 20 damage maximum, but 16.7 damage minimum. That's less than a 4-point damage difference between maximum and minimum damage. It's 3.3 damage total difference. And so what suppressors do on most weapons is they make it so that you're going to hit your minimum damage a lot sooner than you would have before. So the distance, effective distance of the weapon gets reduced quite drastically. However, since the ACW-R doesn't really go down in damage all that much, the suppressor doesn't affect it as drastically as many of the other weapons are. So it's not to say that the suppressor is necessarily going to make the gun better in terms of performance. It's actually going to reduce its performance overall. It will make the recoil easier to manage, but the actual damage and stuff like that is going to suffer. But compared to other weapons, it's going to suffer far less. And especially those distant kills, as long as your target's standing still, because 300 meters per second is very slow, you will be able to dish out quite a bit of damage to them at range. Now, awesome thing about the ACW-R is that it also fires at 850 rounds per minute, which is incredibly fast. The MTAR is one of the few carbines that actually shoots faster than the ACW-R. Now, you do have to remember that the ACW-R is doing 20 damage maximum, which is actually 5 damage per shot less than pretty much all the other carbines out there. This is a pretty big deal because 25 damage means you can drop somebody in 4 body shots, and if you're doing 20 damage, all of a sudden it's up that to 5 body shots. You are firing faster, which is nice, but it's just something to keep in mind if you feel like all of a sudden it's taking a little bit longer to take out your opponents. It's because the ACW-R does less damage per shot than the other carbines. Now I'm picking up some 1911 kills here. Love this S-TAC 1911 silence and tactical light. It's just an absolutely lethal weapon to have in close quarter combat. The only downside of the 1911 is that it has a smaller mag capacity. It does a lot of damage per shot, but just that small mag capacity means that you're probably not going to be downing more than 2 people with 1 magazine, and even then 2 people with 1 mag of a 1911 is pretty hard to do. You're going to have to be landing most of your shots. So it's a great gun for getting that single kill, then reloading and getting another kill, but not so great for trying to take on multiple targets at once. If you're a good shot, the Magnum can take out quite a few guys with just 6 shots, but again, you have to hit them in the head. And the 1911, it just seems to be a little bit more of a spammy weapon, generally speaking. But again, it keeps you off the mini-map, so it is a good pairing for this specific loadout. Now, one cool thing about the ACWR that sort of makes up for its lesser damage per round is it actually has a higher accuracy than most other carbines out there, starting off with a base accuracy of 0.3 while you're aiming down sights. This is going to allow you to really be very accurate with burst fire, or even if you hold it down at long range, you'll find yourself actually hitting a lot more shots than you would with other carbines. It's actually pretty darn effective at long range. Of course, again, the suppressor, dropping that bullet velocity, it's going to make it a little bit trickier, especially with moving targets, but if you got somebody standing still, no problem even with the suppressor. You'll notice that a lot of my close range kills with this weapon, I still aim down sights, which is something that I don't necessarily do for a lot of guns out there, but the ACWR does have pretty crappy hipfire accuracy. We'll just say it's bad, and combine that with the suppressor, it makes your hipfire accuracy even worse. So I really try and aim down sights most of the time when using this weapon, because otherwise it's going to take your entire mag to drop somebody, and it's not going to be a quick process either. So if you want to drop them as fast as possible, try and maintain your aiming down sights in close quarters. It's kind of a weird feeling at first, but if you just get real quick with it, it's not too bad, and it will just allow you to make sure that your opponents are going down as fast as they should be. Now, I love the Expo. I think it's a hilarious weapon, and it's actually very good, especially for bolt action recon classes, and it's actually very useful for the support class if you don't need claymores or C4 for a specific map. Infantry heavy maps, I don't find C4 being as useful as it is on vehicle heavy maps, so the support class can also make good use of it. But the engineer class, I really find having an RPG, even on infantry heavy maps, is just such a useful tool. The ability to quickly switch to the RPG and use it to take out a building wall and potentially even the guy behind the building wall is a great ability. Sure, the Expo has the explosive bolts on there. You have to set them, and I just find them a little bit less effective, slower firing and harder to aim. So I just like having that RPG. It's great on infantry heavy maps for getting rid of cover. I do it all the time. If there's a sniper up behind a window, just take out the whole wall. If there's a guy behind some sort of cover barricade, just take out the cover, drop rubble on him, whatever. It just gives you a lot of options. Something that I feel that although the Expo does have some cool tricks and stuff, it's not necessary for this class. Even if you are trying to run a stealth class, the S-TAC is a great sidearm for close quarters for taking out that extra opponent. Now, Team Deathmatch is actually a great place to take advantage of a fully suppressed class, one that's not going to show up on the minimap for any real reason. And it's just something that's unfortunately not quite as useful for rush game modes or conquest game modes unless you're running in an organized squad of players who are all using suppressors. Because if you got one machine gun guy hanging out with 3 guys using suppressed weapons and the machine gun guy's just giving away your position, well, it's not going to really matter too much if the whole enemy is looking for bad guys at that location. Team Deathmatch, on the other hand, is very fast-paced. You can't spawn on your teammates. Revives are very slow, so there isn't a huge amount of incentive to work together in big clusters. In fact, you seem to be more effective as a team if you're kind of spread out, coming at the enemy from all different sorts of angles. So it allows me to really push around the map on my own, and as you'll see reflected on the scoreboard, it certainly works very well. So thanks for watching, guys. Remember to leave your comments for the next episode of Loadout, and I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap, signing off.